Well, hello everyone. I think this is a special episode. We decided to splice in a new video just in the midst of Config. Just had their conference yesterday, or rather Wednesday. So we decided not to delay this episode. So we decided to run a quick session, both sharing our thoughts on both the different releases, improvements, and features that was released as relates to
We are kind of live now. This is what I always wanted to say. We are live.
And we're officially live.
We are officially live, exactly. I mean, this is just an experiment.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Nick.
Welcome to the Design Table Podcast.
Yeah. Now, what are your first thoughts, or your gut feeling, rather? You know, you've watched the config keynote and fill in the blanks. What do you think?
I was very... I'm not sure how I feel yet, but I was very excited about Figma Make specifically. I sort of do something similar now in terms of like prototyping like a design, but it's a bit janky. So I'll take the code from, or like the spec element, and I'll grab the source code and then I'll paste it into ChatGPT, and then it'll spit out like a semi-quasi Django version, and then I'll prompt my way to making it work. To have that work directly in Figma, it might be a game changer. I am disappointed that they haven't released it yet. I was so excited. That it's still in beta and it's not released to everyone yet.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was looking at, the Figma Make stuff, and I was like, oh, Tyler is really going to like this one. Because, a few episodes back, we talked about AI tools, and you mentioned the quick and dirty prototyping just to see how something would work before you would polish in Figma. I mean, now you don't have to switch apps anymore. And I think that's a productivity gain. It's all in the same place. Can it replace your current workflow, or do you feel, with the things we know now, of course, because I don't think we know everything yet, like, can it replace all the steps outside of Figma for you in regards to vibe prototyping?
I think so. The one thing I'm not sure is that if you're able to launch it, like once you've created your React or prototype, like through that Figma Make, can you then publish it somewhere or scrape the code and paste it into like an app or something? That would be a game changer. I think they've made a big step, and I think the next step is probably like a code editor integration, Figma to Figma Make, and then directly ingest it into like a dev environment, just as like a sandbox thing. And because there are like tokens and different CSS variables that we're exchanging with developers anyways, that could be the next step, which will be interesting. Curious what stood out for you. What was the big shiny thing that you're like, that's the one for me?
Well, it's very boring for me, but I really like the fact that we have more options for icons. I really enjoy drawing custom icons for software as a service projects. Just to stand out compared to your feather icons or font awesome icons, the default most people use, or Google icons, or all the big icon sets. If you have something custom plus perhaps animated, if it's useful for that particular state of your app, is lots of fun. Good way to stand out. So it's been a bit hit or miss in Figma so far, and now having the draw options like that made me really happy.
Yeah,
it's what Make is for you. Like, it really, I think, because we are both designers, but we work in different environments for different clients / employers, and I feel like we both have something that we already do. And because of one of the announcements, we can do that thing, slightly easier, quicker, or better. For you, it's the prototyping. For me, it's the icon design. So I'm really happy with that one.
Okay. And how about the grids? I mean, I feel like they're late to the party, but it's an interesting addition. So we can continue the bento box close friend. That would be insane.
I, I always get a bit annoyed about design hype. To be honest, maybe I've been in this game too long, or maybe I'm jealous. I don't know, but bento box is one of those main hypes, and it looks great, by the way. But you could already do it in Figma, like perhaps not as an official switch you can flip in auto layout. Now you would have to make it a bit custom, up until now. But now you have the grid. But I think it's still missing a few things with sizes and properties. For the most important thing for me in terms of auto layout is that I want it to be as real as possible compared to, or as close as possible to, actual flexbox and grid in CSS. That makes the transition easier from design to code, whether it's AI coded or through an API or by hand. I want that to be as close as possible, and I don't think they're quite there yet. But I'm not going to what do they say? I'm not going to rain on the parade. I think that's the saying, right? I'm not going to be an angry, salty person. I think it's good that they are at least having a version and are thinking about it. And I'm sure they will have an updated version. Like, it's not something that will take a whole year to develop. Like, it's probably going to be like a 1.1 version at some point in a quick release. So it shows promise. Is my short answer, but it's not super useful yet, I think.
Yeah. And especially if you're leveraging it for Figma sites. I'm just worried or curious what janky code it's going to spit out. What SEO friendly Figma to sites. I'm just not sure how that's going to work.
I did see a few angry posts on social media from accessibility expert designers and design plus code experts. If I remembered correctly, they were very underwhelmed with the accessibility and the messiness of the code. Like, it didn't really follow their standards of quality yet, which is good to point out, I think. But I also don't want to be as strict as they are. Like, this is they're all alpha or beta, like they're not full releases yet. It's the first version. So yeah, of course it's going to be kind of messy. Of course it's not going to be perfect. But I also don't think this is going to be the finished product. Like, they will probably improve it, or well, at least I hope they will, because there are also people who are saying that this is all part of Figma's play to go public, and they just want to show their investors that they are going as broad as they can, trying to compete with as many companies as they can, and they will not polish this, and this will be it. This is just corporate play and blah, blah, blah. Not sure if that's true. Not sure what you think about it, but yeah, that's also what some people have been saying.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know how many employees they have at Figma. I imagine quite a few. So I feel like this, your point, is like that stepping stone, and there might be a quick follow depending on their dev cycle.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, having designers ship things quickly and have like a working prototype, whether it's Make, whether it's Site, Figma Sites, I think that's the goal. Whether it's like production ready, but like showing your stakeholders, showing a client, here's how it would look like. Even if they're borrowing Framers UX entirely. But I'm a fan of Framers UX in mobile responsiveness over Webflow.
Yeah.
Personally.
Now I'm going to drop a big bombshell of info here now, because I have never used Framer.
Okay. Dang.
Yeah. And that's not, there's no reason behind it at all. It's just that I have not had time for it yet. I have, and this is going to make me sound really old, but I have WordPress clients, still a few, most of them on Webflow now, but with working in Figma, working in Webflow and WordPress and a few others, there's just been no time for me yet. So it's very tough for me to assess if Figma Sites is in any way as strong or potentially as strong as Framer. Have you enough? Do you have enough Framer experience to have a good take on that?
Another bombshell, no.
No.
I used it maybe once or twice a year ago. And I was like, well, I just bought a course for Webflow. Let me learn one tool at a time. Get to the punchline. I still haven't finished that tutorial. I'm still 25% away, but I'm like, you know what? I can figure out the rest out. And as well, when I have clients, or if I do, it's WordPress also, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, it's nothing wrong with that. I feel like it's WordPress is still there's a big market for it. Sometimes I feel like Webflow and Framer in particular are very big, mostly within our design bubble, but not so big yet outside of the bubble. I'm not meaning this in a bad way, but just, that's what I think I see. My clients don't really care. Like most clients, I have to advise on what kind of tools to use. In the most recent one, I was like, how about Webflow? And they were like, I have no clue what it is, but I trust your expertise. Let's go for it. If I would have said Framer or Wix or Squarespace or whatever, or Figma Sites, they would be like, oh, I don't know, sure. So I feel like it's like the battle of the tools is something that people within the craft have. Like I imagine developers also battle about, like, should it be Cursor, should it be VS Code or something else? I think we do that maybe a bit too much, and that's something you're noticing now on social media as well. Like the Figma fans are really in high spirits today.
I'm curious because part of that process, like regardless what platform you're delivering your site or product in, whether it's Webflow or WordPress, this CMS portion is important as well. So I'm not sure if your clients are doing some edits or updates maybe to like blog articles or some of the content by themselves, or you're handling that lift. But I think Figma Sites has to handle that use case. And this is me not diving headfirst into it, so maybe they handle it decently well. But that's probably one thing that, at least from my point of view, that's important. If I don't have time, can the client do some edits on their own?
Yeah, I'm curious how that would work in Figma, because in both WordPress and Webflow, you have different roles. I know you have roles in Figma as well, with a viewer and a collaborator and that kind of thing. And maybe they have specified it already, but I imagine there will be probably a CMS-like role for Figma as well, where you don't have to go into the actual tool, but you can edit the CMS. Like in Webflow, you have the build mode where you can just change the text and go into the CMS. Most of my clients work that way. And then for the more advanced edits, they ask me. So there's, for example, one client, they have a headline and you have like a hand-drawn scribble that's underneath one word. And now they want to change the headline. Like normally you would just change the text. But then the scribble doesn't know to which word to attach anymore. So that's something I have to do. But mostly they work on the CMS on their own. I think that's part of the list of requirements to make Figma Sites a success, like the collaboration with non-designers, more so than just in FigJam, where they can leave comments, really enabling them to be able to work on the content instead of commenting.
Yeah, and I think that's what they did, what they touched on Figma Buzz, where I think this is more useful for marketing teams, where you can create templates that specific like images or strings or pieces of text are editable, but it allows people outside of design within the marketing team to do those edits. So that experience probably carries on to Figma Sites also within that CMX experience.
Yeah.
But again, I have to dive in. I'm diving into that today, actually, with the team.
Nice. Oh, that's interesting. So you mean your team, your colleagues at the job?
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna later today. We're going to be It's a Figma exploration day. Well, not
Nice.
day. It's an hour, but
Part of the day.
part of the day.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious how that will go. Like, you don't know yet, because we're before the meeting. But I like how you, as a company, as a team, you're taking you're taking this big announcement, and then you're looking at like what of this is useful for us today. What can we start using? What will make us quicker or better? Yeah. So let me know in a later moment what comes from the exploration.
Yeah, I'll give you a Slack message later. This
Nice.
was a
Yeah.
complete waste of time.
Well, don't let them see it. But well, for me, I don't feel like it's going to change my way of working instantly.
Yeah.
Because I was excited about the Figma draw, but I haven't had to work on an icon since Wednesday, so it's really early days, and not all the stuff is available yet. So it feels a bit strange to be like in between, like, yay, cool new stuff is coming out, but it's not there yet, and I haven't had to use it yet. So now for me, it feels like, well, okay, let's just back to usual for now.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the starting point. So I think we're having a closer eye on Figma now and waiting for where each of was it 5 or 6 different products end up going.
Yeah.
Well, I don't count grids as a feature. It's weird how they present grids as a feature. It's an additional setting.
Yeah. That's true, but still, it was part of their big overview of new things. Like, hey, we have grids. They made it look very important, which I understand for people why it is, and it helps me. But also, it doesn't help me because I was able to create fake grids already, and then when I code it myself, I know the fake grid to be, hey, this has to be a grid later on. So I'm just going to make it a grid in code. So I'm like, yeah, it's slightly better, but not really. One thing I would hope for Figma is to include more different sizes or units rather. You have the pixels, and you can put line heights in percentages. But then you also have the EM and REM and that kind of stuff.
Please add REM.
Yeah.
That's all I use.
Yeah, because that works well with other frameworks, like because what I'm thinking, like everything you design, you are designing it because it's going to be built somewhere. If you're a product designer, of course, you also have print and video. But if you are a UI UX product designer, you can expect the things you make to be built at some point. So I want to make that transition between designing and building as seamless as possible. Either in my situation where I design something and I know I can build it one-on-one without annoyances in between, or I think more in your situation where you have a handover to a developer and then they have to do the same thing. They have to understand everything, or towards an AI type service, prototyping wise. The more you have to translate, the more can potentially go wrong, can be misinterpreted. So if the REM stuff is going to be helpful and a real grid tool, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
It feels like they're going very broad, and I want them to go a little bit deeper in like power user territory.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's my hope. Here's my wish. They have some of the pieces now, but here's the opportunity. If the 7th feature or product that they launch is a dev code editor that merges both the tool to rule them all. Like, you go from Figma to Figma Make to prototyping, and then able to send that off within the same code editor, so that you're in one tool. You can leverage the color variables or whatever styles that are baked in directly. That's the North Star for me, right? Where that's my wish. Just one tool where you can do everything, where the developers can do some design, the designers can do some like end-to-end stuff, and just stop that dev mode, the dev mode thing. Just like make it, just like translate this to that, and then you can the dev can kind of code directly within Figma. This new seventh feature.
Hmm. Are you not a fan of the current dev mode?
Yeah, it's okay
It's okay.
because it's okay. Well, I mean, I've used it, but it's depending. If I'm coding my own site, I'm flip flopping between the Figma design and then the dev mode, depending on what variable or color that I want. Um, like it has in dev mode, it has like the CSS styles, and it's cool. And just not all of it I want to copy. I want to get portions of it, and some things I can't really see in dev mode that I rather see in the other. So I'm toggling back and forth. It's a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. Or it's a big opportunity to build your own thing. Maybe one thing I want to say is maybe aimed at people who feel a bit concerned, because you see on social media, you can be influenced. I see a lot of people who are either very angry or extremely happy with everything that's happening for Figma config. And I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. So, for example, you have people saying Figma killed, and then, insert name, Framer, Lovable, Canva, Illustrator. I don't think that's true at all, because one reason being, let's say Illustrator for an example. If you are a product designer like me who does icon design as a hobby that got a little bit too big and now is part of his work, then being able to create icons in Figma is something you can already do, and it's slightly better now. But that's like 1% of everything Illustrator can do. For us, like segment of the market, like product designers, sure, they don't need to use Illustrator that much anymore, or maybe at all. But it's not like it's killed. Like it's not going to go away for all the other types of designers who still use it every day. There's just too much going on there for it to be replaced by Figma. And then at the same time, like if you have another company, it's not like they are sitting still. Like just before Figma config, Webflow announced Webflow Cloud, for it to be able to have apps on your Webflow website. It's a race and battle of products. Who's going to win? Like, sure, one of them might win, but don't fall for the Figma killed, enter company. I don't think that's true. And then the other side of things is people saying that everything Figma makes sucks because it's just a going public type of corporate play. Just know that this is a announcement. They show a few things. It's in an alpha version. It's a first version. Yeah. If it's perfect, you shipped too late, is what they say. So It's probably going to get better. And I wouldn't judge Figma Sites and compared to Framer as it is today. Framer and Webflow, they have a head start of a few years. And it's going to be curious to see what Figma can do to catch up, if they can. But it's not super happy and also not super sad. So don't fall for that. That's my 10 years of experience, calmness.
I'd agree. Yeah, I think it's a win for them as a company, and everything's in alpha. They've launched it, not too late, which is great. And I think they do a decent job of listening to their core audience, like on social media. So we're very vocal as designers on social media, so they're going to hear everything. So they'll get the right signals and then iterate in the right direction.
Yes,
I feel like they're on the right track.
I think so. I think they've shown very interesting stuff, and I'm going to follow it, in the coming months with a lot of interest to see how it improves and evolves, and how we can use it in our day to day, which I'm sure we will have an episode on at some point. And in some random episode number, whatever you're telling me, like, hey, by the way, I'm now using Figma such and such.
Yeah, well, I was going to use Figma Make on my next project, but itching for it to release. So I'm very excited, but I'm definitely going to be start exploring the current release for the next upcoming weeks.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing the results and your opinions on it, but that's for a later episode, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I think it was a good catch up. I love that we took time just to capture this moment and give our feedback. On this quick episode.
Yep. Positive things coming up for designers. It's an exciting time to be in our job, in our line of play.
Exactly. This is all an evolution of the designing code, by the way.
Yeah. That's true. But let's not bring up that discussion again. I think we have a good episode on that for people to listen to if they want to, which will be probably linked somewhere at the end of a video or in the description, I think.
Good hook. Perfect.
Yeah. I'm trying to practice that. The like and subscribe outro kind of stuff. Feels a bit unnatural to me still, but I'm sure that will grow on us.
Well, let's start now. By the way, if you liked our content, if you like our conversation between Nick and I, please smash that like button at the bottom if you're watching us on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, this sounds very authentic with us laughing at each other and being a bit silly, but that's the fun of this.
All right.
Well done.
Great episode. I'll see you next time.